Yo, what's up guys? It's your boy Rich, aka Major Monkey, and today we're going to be doing a full mouse review for the Hyperlight from Hitscan. It is their first mouse that they have come out with, and so I've had it for about a week and a half, and I thought now would be a good time to give a full review of it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for checking out the video. If you guys are new, welcome to the channel. Hope you guys enjoy the content that you watch here. Since you guys are new, a quick little breakdown of how I do these full review videos. The first part of the video is simply just a overview of the specs. The second part is some shape comparisons to some other mice, just to give you a foundation of what you can expect if you choose to pick up the Hyperlight. And then lastly is just my thoughts and opinions of using the mouse over this time period. Things that I liked, things that I didn't like, and ultimately, you know, what games that I play and what I recommend the mouse to you guys. Thank you guys so much for checking out the channel again and checking out the video. Hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get straight into it. Alrighty guys, as you can see here, they are selling the mouse for $90. It is rated for 40 grams. For my personal copy, with the stock skates on the mouse, I was getting about 41.5 grams. Now, I did swap out the stock skates for the Midori VantaShift dot skates, and that brought the weight down to about 40.4, I believe. And so, in retrospect, though, even with these stock skates being at 41.5, can you feel that difference of 39 versus 41.5? Not really. And you know, so I don't think you really have to, you know, swap out the skates to get it lower. I think regardless, the mouse feels very lightweight, feels very solid. And I have to say, the stock skates for the Hyperlight are really incredible. I loved how they felt. I just really love the VantaShifts from Midori, so that's why I swapped them. But if I didn't have the VantaShifts, I would have kept the stock skates on. I thought they were incredible, and I loved them, and I think they're definitely one of the more better stock skates that I have personally reviewed. So I think they did a great job with that. The sensor is a 3395. Now, if you're someone that really craves having the most up-to-date sensor like a 3950, then you know that might be a drawback for you. But for my personal experience using both type of mice that, you know, have a 3395 or a 3950, I think both sensors perform perfectly fine. And specifically with the Hyperlight, I never had any sensor issues whatsoever. I think the mouse is great, and I haven't had an issue with it. So, you know, if that is a big issue for you, then it is what it is. But I definitely, for anyone else that's kind of like, well, I don't really know the differences of the two, will I feel the difference? I can personally confidently say that, at least for my copy, for my 3395, it performed perfectly fine, no issues whatsoever. Polling rate does go up to 8K, but sadly they did choose to go with the option of selling the dongle separately, which the dongle is $25. So you're looking at a total cost before taxes, shipping, and all that, $115. Definitely, it's, you know, it's unfortunate that they chose to go that route with selling the dongle separately, but you know, if you're someone that doesn't care about 8K polling, then, you know, you can save out and spend only $90 for the 1K dongle that comes included. But yeah, it does have the 8K option. They do use a Nordic 52840. The main clicks are Armron opticals. The side clicks are TTC mechanicals, and the scroll wheel is using a TTC gold dustproof. Now let's do a quick little sound test of these switches so you can hear them yourselves. Alrighty guys, and then lastly for the mouse, it does have a 250 milliamp battery. Now in my personal use, I've been playing it primarily on 8K polling rate, and so as you are aware with 8K polling, it is going to chew the battery much more than as if you were using the 1K option. But even with that though, I can confidently say that I've been able to get a good couple days worth of playing like I typically can with 8K. So no really big complaints with the battery whatsoever. And yeah, that is a quick rundown of the specs. Then let's now get into the next section of the video, which is some shape comparisons. Alrighty guys, so for the shape comparisons, I have two mice that I'm going to be comparing the mouse to. The two mice that I'm going to be using are the ATK F1 Ultimate, but just kind of the ATK F1 series as a whole. And then the second mouse is the Viper Mini Signature Edition from Razer. Yeah, there's going to be, we're going to talk about the ATK F1 first, just because there's some more stuff to talk about with it, and then we'll get into the Razer one second. Alrighty guys, so starting with the ATK F1 series mice, I will be putting a picture here on the video just so you can see the image much more clearly. So with the ATK F1, there has been some controversy with this mouse and the Hitscan Hyperlight. Apparently, the design that the ATK F1 uses is a previous version of the Hyperlight and was stolen from Hitscan. You know, there's been like a lot of talk about that, and you know, people are very upset about it. You know, I kind of think back to something like the Skyrox V8, where that was like a clear copy of the Pulsar X2H Mini, but in that scenario, people weren't very upset about. So I don't know if maybe the community is just choosing to be upset about this one, and they just chose not to be upset about the other one. I can kind of understand it though, to a degree, where you know, Skyrox was taking a shape from a much more bigger company that was selling the mouse for a lot more than what Skyrox was offering. So I can understand that, where maybe there's not that sort of anger, but then something with like Hitscan, where they are a smaller company and it's their first mouse, and their shape design got stolen by ATK, which is a little bit larger of a group. I can kind of understand that, but like I said, the Hitscan, their previous design was stolen. And so as we go into the shape right now, as you can see in the picture, the ATK F1 Ultimate is fairly similar in overall shape, but there are some differences. Primarily, the Ultimate has more of a flare out in the back of the mouse, as you can see here in the top-down view. It does curve out a little bit wider than the Hyperlight. So if you're looking for a mouse that's much more flatter feeling, the Hyperlight is definitely your way to go. Whereas with the ATK F1, it does have a little bit more of a wider back side of the mouse. Nothing extremely drastic, but when using the two mice, I could definitely feel that little bit of a wider backside compared to the Hyperlight's more narrow, flatter feeling. The Hyperlight also does have a higher sensor position than the ATK F1, and if I can do a little side-by-side comparison right here for you guys, it is slightly higher. So if you are someone that also prefers having that higher position, or vice versa, someone that prefers that lower position, that will help dictate your decision making based on the two mice. But yeah, I don't want to go into too much about the whole controversy, because I don't really know if it's that big of a deal. You know, my mouse shapes are always getting stolen and copied and revised and stuff, you know. But just wanted to bring it up because it is this crazy hot topic about this mouse. So yeah, let's get into the second shape now. Alright, so with the Viper Mini Signature Edition, I did pick this mouse just because it's a little bit similar, but as we get into it right now, you're going to see that it's actually quite of a different mouse. And if you have the Viper Mini Signature Edition, I could probably guarantee you that if you had both mice side to side, you would probably agree with me that they don't feel very similar. So primarily too, with the top-down view, you can see that the Hyperlight, like I was mentioning earlier, is a flatter mouse, and so where the Viper Mini Signature Edition starts to kind of curve in a lot more aggressively than the Hyperlight is just flat. It's very much flatter than something like the Viper Mini, and it's much more drastic, I think, of a difference than the ATK F1, which those shapes were fairly similar. where I would say this one definitely is a clear difference in mouse shape right there. Overall, though, they are fairly similar, but does have some key differences that I think would drastically change the difference of feeling for the two mice. And so they're similar that they are both symmetrical, smaller shaped mice, but yeah, that difference in the middle here, I would probably guarantee you would make a big difference in terms of feel. So now that we've compared both shapes of these mouse to give you a better foundation, let's get into the now final section of the video, which is just my overall thoughts and opinions while using the mouse. Alrighty guys, so as we get into the final section here and wrap things up, wanted to quickly first go over the hub of the mouse. Sadly, they did choose to go with a software application option instead of something like a web-based software or web-based hub. And so not my personal preference. I would have preferred if they would have went with something more web-based, but I want to give my credit to where credit is due, and they did do a great job with the hub. As we get into it here, there really are two key sections in this hub. You have the key configuration, where you can change and configure the keys on the mouse. You have your options like motion sync, debounce, auto sleep, and then your different profile options. But the main real option for, I would say, us gamers would be the performance section here. You have your stuff like DPI, your polling rates, and you have things like your liftoff distance, ripple control, angle snapping, high performance, and long distance mode. My time using the mouse, I have had high performance and long distance both on, and so that obviously also chews at the battery of the mouse. But I can confidently say, though, I have been playing with the mouse for about a week and a half, and during that time, I can easily get a good couple days worth of the battery. I'm never feeling like I'm frantically trying to charge it. Yeah, the battery feels perfectly fine to me. It charges fairly quickly as well. But yeah, in terms of the hub, I really appreciate the simplicity of it. Going from something like the Wiseout that we just reviewed, they had like 6 sections that you had to click into to find certain things. I really appreciate that. This is a 3-section hub, but the main is really just the main menu to click into the settings. So the fact that it's just 2 parts and really the main juice of the settings is just in one specific section, I really appreciate. Yeah, so they did a good job with the hub. I wish it was web-based, but it is what it is. Alrighty guys, and now let's talk about what I felt when playing with the mouse. I did play games like Valorant, Overwatch 2, The Finals, Black Ops 6, and in all the games, and as I'm talking about the games here, I'll kind of include some footage of some of the games. I don't have everything, but just some clips here and there, just so you can see some performance with the mouse. When playing through all the games, they felt great. The mouse felt phenomenal. With something like Valorant, where it's much more slower paced, tactical shooter, a lot more flicking and having your angles ready and reacting quickly. The mouse felt perfectly fine. It is a lighter mouse, and so me coming from something of a little bit heavier of a mouse in my previous review, it did take me a little bit of a second to adjust to it, but that's more of a me thing than the mouse whatsoever. So after I adjusted, the mouse felt fantastic. Had a lovely time using it for something like Valorant and stuff that are more fast-paced, like Overwatch 2, The Finals, and Black Ops 6. The mouse also performed very well there also. And in those kind of games, there's a lot of tracking that you have to do, and it's a lot more chaotic of a game. And in no particular moment did I ever feel like this mouse was hindering my experience and performance when using the mouse. And so, yeah, in all games, I had a great time with it. I am primarily someone that does a claw grip kind of preference style. This is definitely a mouse that I would say leans more towards a fingertip preference, but you can claw it depending on your hand size. It is a smaller mouse for sure, and so for someone like myself that has that kind of average to a little bit smaller of a hand size, I can claw it pretty confidently and pretty well. If you have a very much larger hand size, though, I would say you might find some difficulty clawing the mouse. But obviously I don't have a larger hand, so I can't really tell you for sure, but you might come across an issue with that. Build quality, the mouse feels very solid. I never had an issue or a weird feeling with the durability and just the quality of the mouse itself. The mouse has felt very premium, very solid. Yeah, and when it comes to recommending the mouse, that's kind of where I struggle a little bit, because I think if you don't have the ATK F1 mouse already, I think, yeah, definitely pick up the mouse. I think it's an easy recommendation. I think they nailed it as their first mouse ever. If you're someone that really cares about value and price, I think you might want to go with something like the ATK F1. But even then, there's like a lot of caveats. It's like, do you care about having a higher sensor placement? Is that something that's important to you? If it is, then you would want to go with something like the Hyperlight. If you care about just price overall, then you want to go with something like the ATK F1, specifically the Ultimate and the Extreme, because you do get a newer, more recent sensor, the 3950, and you do get 8K right out of the box, and it is cheaper. So if you're talking about just total value in terms of price, the ATK F1 series, specifically Ultimate and Extreme, are your options. But if you're someone that prefers more of a flatter feeling mouse, well, then we're back to the ATK. The Hyperlight. Now, is the difference between the two astronomical? No, I think they're very, very similar mice. But there is that slight difference in that backside with the flare out on the ATK F1. If you're someone that, is really passionate about, the fact that their design was stolen by ATK apparently and all that stuff, and you want to support the smaller company, and then, Hyperlight is your option for that. I'll say this, if you have neither mice and you just totally care about value, the ATK F1 would be the pick. If you have neither, but you care stuff about, companies stealing shapes and the sensor placement being higher, I would choose something like, and also the overall in build quality, I would choose something like the Hyperlight. The Hyperlight does feel a little bit better in terms of quality than the ATK F1, and from what I've heard, the ATK customer support isn't the greatest. Now, does this mouse feel like crap? Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. But just because I've heard poor things about ATK's customer support, if that's something that's big for you, the Hyperlight is a great option then. I think both mice are great mice. A lot of people have been shilling and glazing the absolute crap out of the Hyperlight, and I get it. When people start hyping up a mouse, people are just going to kind of follow suit and follow the crowd and just kind of, just agree like, yeah, it's the greatest mouse ever, blah, 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 blah. I don't think the Hyperlight is the greatest mouse of the year. I think it is a phenomenal mouse that has come out this year. And if you definitely don't have a mouse like it, I definitely would recommend you pick it up. But do I think it's this end game 10 out of 10 perfect mouse, one of the best to ever come out this year? No. People are glazing it, overhyping it like crazy. But I don't want to say that and make it sound like Hitscan didn't come out with a phenomenal mouse. They did a great job with their first mouse, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts and opinions, guys. Definitely comment down below if you have some more questions. I'd love to get back to you and hopefully help you guys further out. But thank you guys so much for watching the video. It is kind of a longer video. I'm sorry about that. I try to condense these videos down shorter and shorter every time, but I always find myself hitting that 15 to 20 minute mark. So I'm sorry these videos are kind of long. But hopefully you guys did enjoy it, and thank you guys so much. I'll check you guys for the next video. See ya.